and gentlemen, to this week's episode of The Long Voyage. I think we're up to episode 24. Am I correct?
That sounds about right.
Right. Well, we are, in fact, all here today. So, yes, let's get a recap.
Indeed, let us do so. Last time, in episode 23 of The Long Voyage, we made our preparations to leave the city which we had had such a fantastic adventure in regarding, almost civil war and, well, civil unrest, certainly, and the Sword of the Dove. And there was some interesting role play between the various the characters and the various NPCs they interact with and with each other, and we set off on our journey, but not before Frodi and Ilva went to visit the creepy old man in his little sort of what kind of shop you'd call it, apothecaries?
Curio shop.
Yes, curio shop, with all his various all his strange items, his jewel encrusted skull of his wife and powdered corpse of hanged man and things like that.
Yes. You know what any good curio shop would need to have.
Of course. I mean, I'm amazed we don't have those today in little corner shops in villages in England somewhere. No, and Frodi took the skull of this proprietor's late wife, perhaps doing her a small kindness by doing so, as far as we can tell. And some of those sundry things were taken. And then after all of this, we had set out on our journey, and among other things, Frodi got to actually put himself into a herb-induced trance, whereby he was able to communicate with the soul of the woman whose skull he now possessed, and speak about this, that, and the other, and about how he would obviously try to communicate with her and how he would take her on this journey and show her many wondrous things. And then she seemed interested in this proposition and was happy to go along with it. And then, just as they were wrapping up, took the time to inform him that an Oni was approaching, as you do. And so, yes, this was something that I'm sure Frodi felt very keen to report to the rest of us, because it was in our best interest to be prepared for this. We spent some time debating about how we were going to deal with this, considering that we'd never faced anything like an Oni before. The closest we got to was the Enenra back near Lanwan, and, well, we hadn't actually succeeded in doing anything to it until our mysterious benefactor, who was probably the Sword of the Dove, let's face it, lent a hand. And so, with this in mind, we prepared to basically go into a situation where we would try and negotiate with them and barter with this Oni for our lives, with various trinkets that we might possess. On the way through, as we saw it approaching, a couple of riders came up behind us, and we discovered that it was Ewan and Nari, who we'd met in the city, and one of whom had been snubbed by the formerly the Lord's son, now the Lord of the city. And it was revealed to us quite quickly that they weren't all they seemed to be. They were, in fact, their own form of demonic creature, a kumiho, which is a bit like a Japanese kitsune, only much more vicious.
Yes, they are nasty.
Yes, with a penchant for consuming livers from human beings.
And hearts and spleens, intestines in general, organs.
Why do you have to put on your kumiho voice when you say that? Oh, the flashbacks. And basically, after much sort of back and forth between the Oni, Red Thunder, who in more ways than one lived up to his name, and the providing of many valuable items, a map of Tirglaz that we'd acquired, some Tirglaz coinage, and Sindri gave up his prized Southland amber inlaid box for his pleasure, with a story of bloodshed and treachery to go alongside it. And all these things made Red Thunder amenable to our going away with our lives, on the condition that we take one of his tusks or fangs, and when we do finally come to take revenge on our enemies, place the tusk in the embers and the fires that we burn them in, so that their souls will in fact go to him rather than to the powers, so that he can absorb their power and gain it, and they will live the rest of their afterlives in endless torment. Because he's nice like that.
Which, strangely enough, you seemed incredibly willing to do.
Much to the horror of some of our companions. It's like, yeah, I mean, if you had your home and all that you loved burned down by these arseholes right after they'd unannouncedly turned traitor on you in the middle of trying to get married, and gone over to the sword of your enemy's sword, if you know what I mean, the sword who is opposed to yours, that is the worst treachery.
Yeah.
We need to explain to them. We actually need to explain to them the Southender concept of needing to them.
Yes, probably.
This is important. Basically, once this was all over, we got rid of Red Thunder. Yun and I were distracted by some horses, which we gave them some spice for, because that's all they care about, is eating things. And we were all like, right, let's get the fuck out of here. We don't care if it's late. We're leaving. We're not being in this place any longer. And last we left off, we were basically trudging through the dark of night on a road that we can probably only barely see, trying to get some way away from where we had originally camped, if only to get away from the Oni and the Kumiho. I mean, if we come across bandits we can deal with. Bandits are killable. So
yes, bandits are in fact killable. So
yes,
that is in fact what happened last time. And that means that when we join you again this time, you are on your way to again to this rendezvous where you are supposed to, so to say, hand over Li Ling to her future husband.
Yes.
And oh, sorry, please.
Was I correct in thinking this was either in the Imperial capital or just before the Imperial capital?
Just before the Imperial capital. It is in the last village before the Imperial capital, where you've been told there is an exceptionally good inn, and where there is also several roads that intersect there. So you will be coming from another direction. You will meet there.
Okay.
Yeah. So you are on the road, and you do manage to get some distance, obviously, between yourselves and the nasty Oni and his nasty Kumiho allies, and they're not following you. They're Red Thunder has a deal with you now. He's going to get some souls, which means power, so he's perfectly content. That's an acceptable deal as far as he's concerned. So he's not following you, and nobody's going to eat your livers. But you do get you travel probably through most of the night, and people are suitably tired the next day, probably with the exception of Ilva, who really doesn't need that much sleep. But still, you've been moving most of the night, so you are at least somewhat tired.
Well, the point is that having gone through the night, we can afford to take some rest now, because we have technically made up the time we're going to be travelling through the night anyway, so we can take some rest now if we need to.
Yes, that's correct.
And it's nice to be able to see what's coming at us if it's planning to kill us at this point.
Yes, you are in fact able to take some rest. Just
Yes.
Make camp for a while if you wish, and just Li Ling has managed to get some sleep because she's been in she's been in her wagon. She's slept while you traveled. The rest of you have probably not managed to get that much sleep, but you're able to do so. So do you want to do that?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Well, that is perfectly understandable, and as I said, everybody, you just set up a camp, and you can see there is a village coming up ahead if you travel another half hour. So there is that. There's not much point in setting up camp along the road when there's a village right ahead.
Exactly.
And,
Okay. So.
and you get there and they have an inn, so you can actually have a bed to sleep in.
Yes. Yes. Sindri is very grateful for this. He won't show it, but he is very grateful for this. So.
Finally.
All right. So, how is Ah Cheng? Is he rested, or is he quite tired looking?
Ah Cheng is exhausted. He's despite not being a trained warrior with nowhere near the what's it called, the stamina that you guys have. He's shown solidarity and slugged it out through the night. He doesn't want to, come across as a weakling. When you guys are there, so he's trudged along. But by now, he does kind of look like he could do with 10 days worth of good sleep.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I think. Well. All right. Brother, who would you trust to get us lodging here between you and Ah Cheng as our representative?
Him. Then I can rest my feet.
He needs to rest too. Ah Cheng, I know you want to rest, but we need you to speak on our behalf to these people.
I'll go through pick up like I can help. I'm fine.
Don't think any of us are really fine, but sure.
In the end, it would have been easier to try and kill the Oni. Either way, we would have gotten rest.
Rest in peace.
Very funny, Foley, and returning to the world of sanity and common sense, let's just focus on getting some sleep here.
Right.
So, so basically, yeah. So it's up to Gylfi and Ah Cheng to head into this fine establishment and see if we can get us some sleeping quarters.
Yes. Well, you enter and there is, well, there are quite a few people here, and from the sounds, somebody's having a party.
Ah.
Oh, good.
Good thing you didn't send Frody in there then.
Mm-hmm.
Would you have just killed them all?
Yes. Rest.
Mm-hmm.
Gylfi's like nodding to Ah Cheng and being like, yeah, I'll follow your lead, go.
Sorry, you said what to him?
That Gylfi will follow his lead.
All right. Well, Acheng goes up to the person who looks like he's the proprietor and promptly finds out that he is in fact not the proprietor. So he's pointed towards a woman who is currently being how do I put this delicately? There are several men trying to gain her affections at the same time, and they're not being modest about it.
Of course, yes.
Does she look like she needs assistance, or
No, she seems to think that it's hilarious, if anything.
Oh yeah, so it's the business as usual.
Oh yes, she clearly thinks this is hysterically funny, but she's not a bad-looking woman. She's not divinely beautiful, but she's definitely pretty, and some of the men who are as I said, trying to get her affections are well, the drunk and at least one of them has part of what he's been drinking last night, as well as part of what he was eating last night, spread down the front of his tunic. And none of them look like they're not, in some advanced state of inebriation. But she seems quite pleased when there's a distraction, nonetheless. Even though she thinks it's funny, it's okay. It's nice that there's a distraction so that she can excuse herself, and she looks to Ah-Cheng when he enters, and to you, and asks how she may help you. And Ah-Cheng looks to Gylfi and tries to count on his fingers how many rooms you guys are gonna need. And then he turns around. He says, "Well, we're gonna need some rooms because we have a young noble lady outside and in the wagon, and we've got her guards." And at this point, it seems like everybody is starting to come around to the fact that Gylfi is actually there. And everybody is getting very quiet and looking at him because he's very, very foreign looking. And Ah-Cheng smiles uncertainly and says, "Well, there are several of his people here as well. They are very tall and very strong and will need some rooms as well. And is that possible?" And the woman goes, takes a look at Gylfi and says, "Well, depends on how many rooms you guys are going to need, but that one can stay with me."
I'm flattered, but
God damn it, Gylfi.
that was a long travel.
Oh,
I'm
don't
really
worry, I can
flattered,
nurse
too.
you back to strength.
I do believe so.
She arranges it so there are rooms for you, and all of and you don't have to stay with her. There's a room for you as well. She is mostly jesting. But the point is that seeing as you guys have arrived, that gives her a legitimate excuse to throw out the last of last night's revelers and tell them to go home and sleep it off.
Very sensible.
Yes.
It's funny. That was what I was intending to do.
Yes. Well,
Sleep it off. It being travel.
go. In any case, you get rooms, and you can take a whole day to rest, or a day and a half, or however much you want.
I think Thordy shall rest until people tell him it's time to go again.
Okay. If Sindri is able to take charge of sort of planning again, like he did on the way out of the deal with Red Thunder, he'll basically say we stay for the day, because
And then leave the next morning.
yes, because we need to balance between, obviously everyone needs a very good night's sleep, not only from having stayed up all night, but from the shock of what we went through, but also because in terms of time we do need to get a move on at some point.
Yes.
He's actually trying to be practical and decisive about the situation.
Yes. You also realize that while you're there, that the reason why people have been partying is because it's, they have already been informed. There have been riders from the city, from Kepad, telling them that they are now, that Lord Sung has died, long live Lord Sung, and that new Lord Sung is going to do things differently, and that they're not going to be starving, basically, anymore. So
Lovely.
that's why they've been partying.
Well, that's a good reason to party.
So basically it's a quiet day of rest, and some food and solid meal or two. Nothing particularly fancy or anything, but good solid meal is not a bad thing.
No.
And you guys can get going the next day again, and so I assume that you do.
That is a good assumption.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that means you guys have quite a while where you are. Well, it's basically downtime while you're traveling, because it's quite a bit of a trudging through the countryside, and it actually takes you 10 days to get there.
I would like to spend most of that time preparing the new bones I got.
Oh, right. Yes, of course.
Mm-hmm.
What would the
So-
rest of you like to do with that time?
Well, Gilfie will probably try to nurse himself to full health.
Yes, well, that is definite. I mean, over the course of that time, you will certainly be back to full strength.
Other than that, is keeping people company, making sure that
Yes.
everybody's okay.
Yes.
Sindri will want to, aside from sort of keeping an eye out on the front of the road, he would also probably want to. I think he probably wants to try and get to know the rest of the retinue a little bit better. Even though again, communication is a little halting between them, but he will sort of try and connect a little bit more with the soldiers, the other soldiers that are, what few of them there are that are with us on this journey, and sort of get to know their circumstances a bit better.
Yeah. All right. By the way, Gilfie, that is entirely doable. By the way, it's absolutely possible to do that. Is it something you would like to handle, out loud or in writing?
That depends entirely on you.
Then let's just handle it out loud so that we can have it on the recording. Better that way. But yeah, you have time over the course of these, about 20 days really to to talk to Cheng and to get to interact with him. So what would you like to talk to him about?
Yeah, he'll probably depend. Sounds like he'll just probably there will be some awkward silence at first, and he'll be like, "Well, how are you holding up?"
He says, and thinks long and hard before he answers. And he says, well, it's all been very exciting. Probably a little more exciting than I thought it would be when I decided to come on this journey, but it's been worth it.
Well, I would say it was curious and enlightening.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. How about you? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. Been through worse.
You guys impress me. You really do. You deal with difficulty so well, and with fighting and violence and so on. You're very impressive people.
No, we are not impressive. We are broken people from a broken land.
You don't seem that broken to me, if you'll pardon me for saying so.
We are good at keeping appearance.
Maybe so, but you still act. You still do things instead of just sitting around with your head in your hands.
I suppose.
So something must be driving you forward.
No, I suppose. Well, it's kind of a matter of, I think, for some people, it's a matter of legacy they will leave behind. I just want to keep others alive. That's.
But that's
really
that is a noble thing. That makes you a good person. Keeping people alive, keeping them safe, that's important.
Mm.
You just always seem so sad. And I mean, I remember I heard the stories back in Lanwan about what had happened to your home, and I can't imagine what that must be like. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I can. But you're a good person. You are all good people.
I'm sure you had your own share of struggles.
The things I've had to struggle with seem kind of trifling, really, compared to yours.
Do not diminish your own struggle just because there are some people dying over yonder.
I suppose. Anyway, I just, my struggle really is going to end the moment we get to our destination. It's pretty simple.
So you're not going back with us?
No. I'm staying with Leland.
Does your father know?
Yes, he does. So does my mother.
Mm.
Nobody else. Except, well, Leland knows, of course.
Well, well, I what to say? I hope you thought thoroughly. Like, as I hope you're making this decision. After a lot of thinking. It's if you think that's right, you're staying there. It's
Some things are worth dying for.
That's true. Yeah, like Gilfy just probably sits like by like some tree and pops a pipe. Like, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Oh, this land does not cease to surprise me, day by day.
In what way? I mean, I'm glad you think so, or rather, I hope I mean,
It's
surprises can be good or bad. I hope it surprises you in good ways, mostly.
These days, I suppose all surprises, like good. On like as terrifying as Onia, as unnerving as Kumiho, and that's how you say it. Yeah, there's not really that, like, we've seen our share of monsters. It's the people that are interesting.
I kind of
Really,
like that,
these
actually.
days.
I like that. And it's the people that are interesting. I agree with you, by the way. I think
Yeah.
you're right.
So after you fight after you fight a headless messenger of death and a giant snake, it's
Yeah.
it's everything is downhill from there.
I guess so.
Hashtag humble brag.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be fair, I was not the one doing the fighting. Just I am mostly the one behind who shakes, who soils his jimmies in the bushes and then catches everybody together.
Oh, I don't know.
Once
From what
once
I've
the-
heard, you may not be the first man into a fight, but when you have to, you do fight.
I suppose every rat farts with fight. Work on it.
I suppose every what? Sorry, I couldn't hear.
Every rat fights were cornered.
True.
Yeah.
You're not a rat, though. You're better than that. But other than, I get what you mean, though. I do understand what you mean. Just, I hope, I really hope things will work out for all of you. What
They
are
will
you?
one way.
What are you looking for in life? What is it that you are searching for in life? Goofy, there must be something.
Honestly, I don't know. As I thought I was living to live up to some expectations set by my father, but now I came to terms that he's dead, and he will stay that way. I don't know. These days is just honestly, I'm living for others. I don't have plans for my future.
Why
Not
not?
not
Why not make some? Why not make plans? Is it because you don't think you deserve it? You're not good enough to plan for your future?
I kind of don't want to give myself false hope.
It's
That
not
like the
necessarily.
arrow.
Sorry. Okay,
Hmm.
please.
You know, at the palace, the arrow from the guard almost took me out. You know,
Yeah,
that's why I'm not making plans for the future. It's
you should, because
because
even
mm,
you should, because it gives you something to fight for. Even let's say you get hit by another such arrow, it gives you something to cling on to. Having a goal, a hope for the future is. You are
I
too
suppose.
nice a person, Gilfie, to just languish like this. Be nicer to yourself. No, I mean it. Be nicer to yourself. People like you. Back in London, everybody thought you were a fantastic person. Everybody thought you were great. You were nice, you were polite, you were interested in our ways. You didn't just strut around like you and your entire crew. You are so much bigger than us. You're stronger, you have weapons and armor that have such high quality. You guys could have made so much trouble for us, and yet you arrived and you became our friends, and you, first of all of you, the first thing you did was to try to experience Lanwan and figure out what we were like. You're a good person. You deserve some happiness.
Suddenly, I'm not. I'm current on my current journey. It's not a well. The death in battle is more of a or on the hands of whatever.
I'm not
I'm not even
saying
trying to
that's
get
not
it.
possible, but everybody in this world could die a violent death tomorrow. That's not the same as saying, oh, well, I could die tomorrow, so I better not make any plans for the future. How do you think it was living for the people living in Lanwan, knowing that there were bandits out there all the time who, if we set foot outside the city gates, or the town gates, we risked getting killed by these vicious beings. It's not particularly funny. It's dangerous. We still make plans. I can't force you to. I'm just saying I think you should. I'm just saying I think you should. So should the others.
You know, one day maybe find
Something
it.
tells
You
me
know.
that something tells me that you guys are important somehow. Don't know why. Just a feeling.
As we said, it's just for now. For now, it's like I like to keep my family alive,
Yes,
and
that's a good plan.
that's the most I want to. I want to hope. I want to hope from life. Currently,
So
if they end up alive and well in the end, I think I did a good job.
that's a good point.
Hmm.
So you are planning on returning home to your lands at some point, I take it.
I don't know. The others are definitely, but
But not you.
I don't know. I don't know if I would fit well back home.
Why do you not feel like you would fit in? Not just at home. I have this feeling like I think somehow you have a feeling that because you are a little bit different, that means you are either not worth as much as the others, or that you are never going to find a place and fit in. Am I right?
Oh, I'm fairly sure I could find place to fit in, just not in Southlands.
I can't say if that's the case or not. I've never been there, so I couldn't say for sure. But I know that your friends value you. They think highly of you.
Yeah.
They not just because you're the person patching up their wounds. They like you.
I suppose.
You're
And to be fair, there's some. I rather see so much more world before I go back to Southlands.
Of course. I mean,
And
but that in itself is an adventure, isn't it? And if you go into an adventure being all, despondent from the beginning, how are you going to have fun with the adventure?
oh, believe me, I was despondent when I came into that one. Didn't stop me there.
No, but I think you could have had even more fun if you had tried not to be. There must be something or someone in this world that can make you feel a little more hope than you do now. Surely.
Well, I suppose for my sake, I hope I'll find it that one day.
So do I.
Gilfy like stands up,
Yeah.
pats his pants and cloak from
Yeah.
the grass.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's go because others will be.
Sure.
Do you still have some of that liquor stored away?
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
He finds
well,
the keg of rice wine and shares.
Gilfy gets smashed.
Yes. What about the rest of you? Anybody else who wants to talk to anyone in particular, or?
I think Chris did.
Okay.
Well, there isn't anyone in particular, but just, as you say, trying to foster some more camaraderie with the Imperial soldiers alongside us, because I feel that we've been sort of keeping to our own separate groups, and I'd like to bridge the gap a bit.
Hey, they're more than happy to talk to you. There are some of the people, obvious. I mean, you knew them back in
yes.
Lan One as well. So you've come to know these people through a while now, and
Fair enough.
they're more than happy to hang out with you and talk and have a drink and share
yes.
bawdy jokes and so on.
Linda's very keen to teach them some traditional Southlander drinking songs.
They try to sing along and butcher the words badly, but that's never really been the point of drinking songs.
No, besides, as Sindri will tell them, getting the words wrong is half the point of it. That's
a good point.
Because Southlanders, when they sing these, they're usually so drunk they can't remember their own language anyway.
They grin and get you even more drunk when that happens.
Oh god, just this between Gilfy and Sindri, just any credibility we had is gone.
Yeah.
That's it.
I kind of think most of Gilfy's credibility went out the window when he and Becky got so high that they shat themselves and had to roll into the ocean.
Mm-hmm. You're never going to let them forget that, are you?
Nope.
Never.
Good. Very good. Let's keep it that way. Yeah, that's pretty much what Sindri does.
Yes. So, what about Ylva?
She will be doing something she's probably not that good at.
What's that then?
Be there for Leeling.
That? Why would she be good at that?
She's very bad with words.
Well,
But
so is
listening
Leeling.
to... Yeah. Shut up, you stupid. It's mostly... I know it sounds stupid, but listening to her worries about what's gonna happen. Let her, talk it out so she feels better about the whole situation.
Well, she is nervous. I mean, on one hand, she really wants to meet this young man that she's going off to meet, but you also have, the closer you get, the more distinct a feeling you get that she's hiding something.
I think the first 10 days she won't comment on it. And then she will try to, ask into that because I've known you for a while now, Ling Ling. You're hiding something.
And she looks she looks almost frightened when you say that.
There's no need to be scared. I mean, come on. If you can't tell me, who can you tell?
Well, you're also pretty clear that she does trust you, but there is tradition and family honor and all these things involved in this as well, and she is desperate to do the right thing.
I'm here to protect you, Liling. That's both you and how you feel. Whatever you tell me won't leave this place.
She...
and I won't judge you for it. I mean, look at me.
She looks a little confused when you say, look at me, and she does look at you with, like, what do you mean, sort of facial expression.
Yeah, then she sighs and chuckles softly. Why should I judge you? I went against my family and I ended up here.
And she writes, but you're a hero.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
To be a hero, you have to be a good person. I'm pretty sure I've killed way too many innocent people to be that.
She shakes her head and looks very sad and writes on the tablet and says, no, all heroes, well, most heroes, she, erases the all and says, most heroes end up killing people because that's the world we live in. There's always war. There's always war somewhere. People are always fighting.
There will be war until there's only one sword left.
But it's about... Exactly, and she says it's about what you choose to fight for. You have helped people you didn't need to help. You didn't owe people in Lanwan anything. And you still helped. As far as I'm concerned, you're all heroes.
She thinks about that for a while, then shrugs. Well, then it was unintentional. I'm sorry.
Well, she looks a little less nervous and says, "Well, I'm glad you're all along for this. I don't know what'll happen when we arrive."
I think that's hard to tell for anyone. But
Yes,
I can see you worrying about something.
I do.
And talking about it might help.
It's not going to change anything.
No, but you might feel better for it. If anyone knows how horrible it is keeping something to yourself you can't tell anyone.
Oh, you're
'Cause
keeping,
if
you're
you
keeping a secret too?
Yeah. And if I tell someone, I will be hanged for it.
She nods and says, "Well, they won't hang me, but they probably will punish me very badly and someone else will die."
Ilva scratches her hair. I don't really know the different laws in this
No.
place. I've tried. There are too many and they're so complicated.
Yes. Well, she writes and looks a little sad. Sometimes, I guess, secrets just have to stay secret.
Nah, they might.
She doesn't say anything for quite a while after that. She looks like she's thinking very hard. You're not going to get much more out of her that day.
No, but you will still
Oh, of course.
point out this. But no matter what it is, I hardly doubt you would change my mind about you. And then she gives her a friendly hug.
Yeah. Well, she hugs you back.
You know,
And-
you're actually my first female friend.
Oh? Is that because you're a warrior?
Well, the other battle maidens are my friends too, but we don't know each other that well.
Oh.
And the girls back home hated me because I weren't girly enough.
It's difficult for me to imagine your people, being all girly, because the only women I know of your people are the warriors on your ship.
Yeah, it's hard to explain a Southlander woman who's womanly, but they're still pretty stern. I remember my mom, she weren't always nice. And most women are kind of, they're always strong in the Southlands. But they are more soft if they're not warriors.
Oh. But you said you didn't know the other two on your ship all that well.
We've trained side by side a couple of times, but it's not like we were, talking and chatting and
Well,
talking about what happened around us.
maybe you should.
Maybe, but I'm pretty sure one of them isn't that into that kind of thing. I tried dragging her to the spa place, but I'm pretty sure if I insisted she would try to murder me.
Well, that's all the more reason to try to get her to loosen up a little, isn't it? Maybe you can get the
What-
other one to help.
Battle maidens, that can be very hard.
If things were easy, they wouldn't be much fun.
That is true. The one of them I did manage to take along, I had enormous fun watching, looking all confused.
So basically, you talk to her for a while you're,
She doesn't touch upon the subject
no.
because it's up to her. She has given her the
Yeah.
the
No.
option of being her confidant in that part,
Yeah.
because it seemed like something that really kept her down.
It's definitely something that weighs on her mind, and it gets worse every day you get closer to your destination. The last 3 or 4 days before you do reach it, she's a bundle of nerves. She looks like she's on the verge of crying most of the time. She's scared. She's, but on one hand, it's clear that she's, she's happy to do what is sort of expected of her, but on the other hand, there is still something behind it all.
I think if it's very noticeable to the rest of us,
It is.
Thrudi will offer to divine for her how the meeting will go.
She would very much like that.
In that case, he asks the bones.
Well, the bones fall in a way that says that there will be great surprises in this. And you can't really make out if they are good surprises or bad surprises, but certainly that there will be a great surprise, or several great surprises involved in all of this, and that but that it will be peaceful. There won't be violence in this, according to the bones.
Well, he tells her as much and adds, I wonder what could surprise us. I mean, we've already met the sword.
She writes, and it's like, that's true, and that was certainly
Surprising.
a surprise and an amazing thing. She actually cheers up at the thought, the memory of that.
Yeah, I never thought I'd carry Ren as a princess.
Did I tell you about the meeting Eileen and I had with the Mist?
Oh,
No.
Well, he does so in great detail, making sure to highlight, how absolutely scared and, demure Eileen seemed all the time.
Yes.
To highlight the absurdity.
Yes. That actually makes her giggle because, now that you guys know who Eileen really is.
Yeah, Ilva makes a stone face, Ella. That little shit.
Yes!
I think since it's clearly cheering her up, Thordy will get really into it and, act out certain parts.
Yeah, she ends up, clapping her hands and laughing because something that's taking her mind off what's about to happen. She's just really happy that you are doing that.
Wait, you're not naughty? They were the Mist Ladies?
I suppose they might not really be Mist Ladies if they're also fox demons.
And that man that were with them?
Yeah, I think he's in on it too.
She looks thoughtful at that. It's like she says she doesn't know enough of the Mist to know if they were, if these beings could have been part of it. But she does know that the Mist is supposed to protect people,
Not eat them.
But even so, she thinks it's a great story of how Eileen was cowering behind you while you were, meeting with these dangerous people.
Oh, and she actually told me, oh, no, I'm not that good at lying.
That actually has her laughing out loud.
Ilva just hides her face in her hand with a, oh my god.
Groan.
So I have to instruct her how to go about lying to these people.
Oh god. You do know how foolish you seem now, right?
Hey, I mean, if you are a sword, you have plenty of time to learn how to be sneaky like that.
I know, but still. Now it just feels like he played you for a fool.
Well, I think I still consider Eileen a friend.
I do too, but mischievous Breeze would be better suited.
Yes. And yes, actually, Guilty,
Yeah.
you have a very good point there that you actually all own clothes made by the Sword of the Dove.
Yeah.
That is a good point.
Ilva both has a commoner's outfit and the pretty one.
Yep, that's true. You do.
Cool.
That is true. But
Oh,
guys,
please, someone point that out to Frode.
yes.
I think Gylfi just did.
He's probably going to be all over that. But guys, on this note, I think it's a good place to take our first break, and we will be right back with more of the Long Voyage after a few moments. So don't go anywhere.